Yeah.
Excuse me.
Is that your stomach?
That's my throat. I don't know what's going on over here.
Are you hungry? Are you nervous?
No, I just took a sip of coffee and then decided to rib it like a frog.
Well, we just came back from Vegas. It was North America's 50 Best.
Correct.
But there was something that you and I were talking about a little bit was I think we were just kind of bummed at the people who were not there as well.
Oh, for sure. You could, I mean, I don't think when these lists come out, chefs necessarily are reaching out to each other. Hey, did you get the invite or whatnot? You just expect to see certain faces at these events, you know, after being at a bunch of the world's 50 best events the past years. You know, we walked into the room and I think we were all a little bit shocked to not see, you know, some of the most inspiring, professional, attention to detail chefs who are at the pursuit of perfection, you know, like the Somnis, the Vespertines, the Addisons, the Blue Hill, like Alinea, people like that. And walking around the room and not seeing them, you know, going into the actual celebration and the awards was a little bit, okay, what's going on here? Mm-hmm. So I think just that, you know, is when there's a list for the best restaurants and it's the first of its kind for North America, you'd expect to see some of those people at the forefront to be there. And it was interesting. And then also if you know, the list is being based on less tasting menu and less fine dining like that, to see, you know, the Evan Funkes and, you know, Justin from Anna Jack to not have, you know, a red sash around. Mm-hmm. So it was just, you know, it was a bit different.
Yeah, I think, I think people felt lots of different things. And I think lists like these also, the point of them is also to stimulate dialogue as well. And even if everyone that you named was there with a red sash, there would be a group of people that would be maybe upset that another group of people, you know,
Exactly.
weren't represented. I think the thing that we have to remember is like, so Jamila and I did that series, Effects of Change, where Bon Appetit and On the Pass presented these 6 episodes. And we did an episode with Daniel Hume and Elena Regales. And Daniel was like, listen, there was no award that was too great for us. We wanted all of them. But, and he's speaking from a very privileged position, he said, but there's no such thing as the best restaurant in the world.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a mathematical formula where it's right or wrong. It's like opinion based.
Yeah.
So, and if you put 100 people in the room, every single person's opinion is going to be different.
Yeah. And what I'm getting at with that and sort of teeing it up is as Will came up and introduced the inaugural year, he was saying, you know, here are Academy chairs and there's 300 voters across, you know, Canada, the US and the Caribbean. And that list that just took place last week is a snapshot of what those 300 voters believed, were interested in, had friendships with, were really excited about at that time. And so, you know, I look at these things as more of less of like a best, but like it's kind of most popular in a moment in time.
Yeah.
You know, type of a thing.
There's so many different ways that you can attack a restaurant and things to motivate a chef or a restaurateur. And a lot of the times it's some of the things that are most motivating for chefs to push every single day are things that are out of their control. And it's an interesting industry for that fact. When I think one of the most important things is your restaurant being busy and full every single night and turning a profit and every single person leaving happy. Mm-hmm. You know, those are like some of the most things, but sometimes you put your efforts and your energies into achieving accolades and awards. And I think you know, the end result on a chef's happiness and their overall well-being might be affected differently than they thought.
Yeah.
Chasing that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, there's a direct correlation oftentimes with the butts and seats, busy, profitable business and awards and accolades. Not always. I mean, there's always kind of the exception to the rule, but the reason everyone gets so charged about these things, and I understand, again, I'm not a restaurant owner, but I can clearly understand why you want to be higher on a list, why you want these awards, because it helps drive traffic. It helps
For sure.
gets butts and seats and create a community around the blood, sweat, tears, and effort that you put in. It's almost a year, which I cannot believe.
Feels like 10 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's a year since we released that short little documentary called Rare, A Chef's Story, which was this kind of amalgamation of, again, a snapshot in time where you were at.
It's like a time capsule.
Yeah. Which I think is kind of beautiful, which I think I'm excited to kind of get into, but it's also like a snapshot of where you were at as a chef, as a restaurateur, also where your relationship with Monette was at, and then the relationship with the incredible community of people that you had around you, from the staff to the friends to the supporters who really loved both Bar Monette and Burguette. But, since a year since we released that, when you look back at that film now, what comes up for you?
A lot of emotion, for sure. It's funny that was the time. I think everything happens for a reason. And the timing kind of aligned perfectly to show myself, like a chef, an entrepreneur, somebody putting themselves out there in a very interesting part of the process where they're very burnt out. They've, done a lot of things in a short period of time. Like, we opened Bar Monette and then started planning Burguette because that opportunity came 6 months after opening, and then opened, Burguette on the year anniversary of Bar Monette, essentially. Mm-hmm. So, and then, it was me on my own. So I was, social media marketing manager. I was, chef. I was plumber.
Head of janitorial services.
I was, bookkeeper, HR, everything. And it's tough to do all that. And then not to be able to focus on the thing that you're most passionate about, which is cooking and creating. And it just wears you off. It wears you down. And I think those restaurants were so beautiful because we did create such a family. We created such a family of clientele, people who would come and they'd see each other in the dining room and they'd say hi and connect every single time. And then everybody coming to work, being excited to come to work and excited to just hang out and do what we love together. And everybody knew exactly what to do all the time. So it was just such a close-knit group that executed on a high level, and everybody knew their role and did what they needed to do to make the restaurant what it was. But it was just so beautiful because we didn't have expectations when we opened up the door. We didn't set crazy goals of what we wanted to accomplish. We just wanted to create a place that brought people together, could spread love, and be a unique restaurant in Los Angeles. Excuse me.
Nice.
But
gaseous.
But this coffee, it's that bone broth.
It's that bone broth, the chicken feet bone broth,
the cloudy chicken feet bone broth
that we had earlier.
Off the street. It always had a expiration date because there was a sign up on the wall with the city saying that the building was going to be torn down to turn into a hotel and stuff like that. So we went in there just trying to create memories and create a beautiful space to bring people together. And with that, it being 100-year-old building, I think everybody understands what comes with that. And it just didn't make any sense to keep putting money into something that had an expiration date. So that's kind of what happened with that. And, ending that chapter in life, and when you have such a strong, tight-knit family and a bunch of amazingly talented individuals, it's really tough and sad to go away from that. So, that kind of segued into the next chapter.
Before you closed, but definitely when you closed, because of the short that we did, which was really vulnerable in a lot of ways. And I commend you for allowing us to capture that moment in time, because I know how difficult, that was. But it was, people were messaging me and saying, "Is Sean okay? Is he all right?" Like like afterwards, but also when it closed, because it was such a shock to so many people. Because for all intents and purposes, I think, there was a moment in time where there's a Forbes article, there's a Wall Street Journal article, there's an Eater article. Bar Monette specifically, it was like a media frenzy.
I know. I still get DMs and messages every single week about people asking and telling me like, you got to reopen it, and how much they miss it. People stop me on the street and say, "We miss your pizza, like, please." So, I mean, it was just such a beautiful thing. And to also, name it after my wife, and it was just like a meant to be situation. And it just all came together so freely and so easily. Like, it just made sense. Like, even like the color scheme with the name, it just all flowed so perfectly. And I even have a bunch of those things in my house still as like memorabilia from that were up on the little trinkets on the walls and stuff like that. Cause they meant a lot to us and to the team. And I wanted to keep those. It was just such a rare, and it kind of goes along with the, the title of the short. It was a rare situation where it was just beauty. It was just, something so beautiful.
No, I feel like
holds a special place in a lot of people's heart.
It does, and still does, which I think that in and of itself is success. Like we were talking about, having a place that's full, having a place that people love to come to. You created a neighborhood restaurant in probably one of the most touristic places in Santa Monica, where honestly, as a local, we would kind of avoid that area a lot of times. But it was this like hidden, just slightly off the beaten path. And I remember being, even for the event that we did, I remember tourists walking by going, what is this?
I know.
But it was kind of like, if but I think, we highlighted in that short, like the financial realities, the difficulties, the personal toll that the restaurants were taking on you, the highs and the lows of, creating these two beautiful children.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying like Bar Monette was created out of love, but Burguette was kind of this like pressure cooker because it was an opportunity, but
that we couldn't pass up. And, it was going to be the most limited budget to open up a restaurant that you could potentially ever do. So it was on nickels and dimes, and we just leapt at it and rolled with it. And that one, Bar Monette was a love project, and Burguette was a time crunch project. And it was built in a place of, I don't know. But that opening Burguette definitely took its toll on my health and my mental health and my physical health and my emotional health. And it was just draining. There were some days I couldn't, it was hard for me to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
I just wanted to stay in bed.
You were saying you were dealing with some insomnia at the time.
I couldn't sleep. Yeah. I couldn't sleep. It went from like, Bar Monette being so busy and lined up out the door. And like you were saying about the neighborhood thing, we'd have certain people, calling in to come eat at the restaurant, well-known people. And it's like around that cusp where like no, celebrities going to the pier, Santa Monica Pier, because it's just like, that's suicide. Like you're gonna like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? And we're like right there, but they'd still come, and it was a beautiful thing. But like having that and then going to building, Burguette in such a short period of time with such a limited budget, like even like my parents flew from Calgary and like helped me like paint and like, fix things up in the restaurant and get that up and running. And it was beautiful. It brought my, my family together too. And then we created this other like magical family with all the staff at the restaurant too. Like we'd all hang out after work. We all still stay in contact. You hear a lot of people talk about their experience working at restaurants and they're like, oh, I don't talk to anybody that I worked with there. They talk poorly about me or this. That's kind of like sometimes the culture in it. When you leave a restaurant, that restaurant feels like not like betrayed, like left. So then, there's always this kind of bad aura about it, but we're still in contact. Like if we see each other on the street, we like run over, give each other a hug. We say, hey, like it was just such a special place, and we created this environment of just love. And
It was a family,
yeah,
like big time. I mean, I
100%.
think anyone who watches, which I would encourage people to go back, listen, it's got about 9,000 views already, and just continuing to move through. But I have people who reach out to me and go, "Wow, that was incredible." And
I think there's so much footage that you actually didn't post too. That
there's so much, and we're actually going to be, with this episode, we're going to be highlighting some of that as well. But community was such an important component of that short. We were able to cover so many things, but you're talking about it a little bit, but like, what role did that community play during that period, and like, what does it mean to you now? Because I also know you've helped people get other jobs. It's like, yeah, everyone has stayed pretty tight,
Yeah.
which is cool.
I mean, we're all, keeping in touch and watching each other's stories on Instagram and commenting and replying. And I don't even know how many references I've given, but for me, it's like, why spend 18 hours a day in a kitchen with people that you don't want to be close with and get to know and be kind to and generous? And like, if you hate the person that you're standing next to, and I don't like using the word hate, but I mean, if you dislike the person that you're sitting next to, why are you working 12 hours besides that person? Mm-hmm. So in the restaurants that, that I, create, I want it to be a space of love, and I want it to be a space of growth and positivity. And I want everybody to be happy to go there and be excited to see each other every single day. Mm-hmm. Because that's the whole purpose of it. We're doing what we love, but why do you have to sacrifice, being around people that you enjoy and that are kind and nice just to do what you love? Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be that give and take. It should be all flowing, and I know not always personalities and people mesh together, and there's always that difference in opinions and stuff like that. But for the most part, you want it to be a sense of community. You all are there for one purpose, to either learn and get better at your craft, so then you can go on and you can do whatever your goals are and accomplish them. But it's all about supporting each other and helping each other grow.
Yeah, I mean, we're working on a series with San Pellegrino right now, and Charlie Mitchell from Saga and Kent Hospitality Group said, "This is a team sport," and we've all people who've played sports know that you may not like every teammate, but hopefully there's like a respect level there, But I think there's nothing more difficult. People have heard me talk about this before. There's a book called Brain on Love, The Neurobiology of Healthy Relationships. And it's not just about love relationships, it's about friendships, it's about everything else. And he said there's nothing more difficult than two people from two different backgrounds, from two different upbringings, coming together and getting along. But yet that's what it takes to run these businesses. The place could be so beautifully designed. The moment you bring personalities in there could either be even more beauty, there could be chaos, there could be all kinds of things.
It's the toughest part of the industry, I find. Taking all these different personalities, figuring out how they each individually motivate the best, what makes them all tick, and getting them all to come together and achieve this common goal. Mm-hmm. Because we're all in it for the same reason. As chefs, you want to be a great chef, you love cooking, you want to be in the kitchen. And then for, front of house, you have your different passions with that, with service and high execution. And,
You never really made a formal announcement when you closed Bar Monette and Burguette. Why was that?
Like we did the Instagram post, mm-hmm. But we just kept it kind of personal. So we did a little family gathering at Burguette, actually, with all the staff. We had a little send-off party, and we just kept it like very intimate. We just wanted to not shed too much light on it. I got reached out to by all the publications about what's going on, but it was a time and place where, the LA fires were going on.
It was also a difficult time.
So we didn't want to take away from what was going on. That's actually like life or death situations. And it wasn't the time and place to do that. So we just did a little intimate thing with a small group, with the team, sorry, that come together from Burguette and Bar Monette, and did a little send off. And, I just wanted to do something special for everybody, and I actually printed out all the publications that we were in and all the accolades that we achieved and print them out on this big poster. And it was massive because we just accomplished so much, and it was incredible. And I just wanted to show everybody like the true testament of their hard work and their dedication at these places, that not only I felt so much love and gratefulness for, that they wanted to do it at my establishments, but also to show just what everybody is capable of for their future endeavors, for where they go off to. I wanted them to be able to see, wow, we really accomplished so much. And, that might spark something where they have a little bit more self-confidence, or they just know the love and support system that they have with myself and with the team that we created. So print out this poster. I held it up in front of everybody and I said, look what we did. And everybody was, so excited. And I think that was the first time they saw all the articles printed out, because it was a massive poster. And I had everybody sign the back and date it. And then I still have that in my house.
That's so cool. Yeah. Because they can say, we were a part of this.
Yeah.
We know we were a part of something special. And honestly, I think it would be amazing that it was still around, but it was a beautiful moment in time. It really was a beautiful moment. It was really special, and I think the world has changed. We've changed, a lot in many ways. And so, yeah, it really, like we started out, it feels like it was 10 years ago. It really feels like it was a long time ago, because it was a different time. What was the hardest part of letting go of those restaurants? But also, was there like a little bit of relief as well?
The hardest part of letting go was just putting
Are you comfortable in that seat?
Yeah,
You're like pulling yourself up.
No, it's great.
No, I want to make sure you're
That's
comfy.
Good. I'm comfy. I feel great. The hardest part was just letting go of, most people build businesses for the long run, right? So they essentially, like, I'm creating this business and it is going to serve me for 30 years or so. That's what they have in mind. They're like, I'm saying it for,
well, that's what the hope
success.
Is.
That's what the hope is.
Not most businesses
in our
don't
industry,
make it to that.
Yeah, in our industry. But these were different, because these were essentially, let's get these open really quickly. Let's do something, while this poster's up on the wall that says that, the building's going to come down. There's like a time clock that's ticking away. So we're like, let's get open. Let's create memories. Let's create magic. And then let's, move and open it up somewhere else if there's the right, time and place in that time period. Or let's just, get out and go on. And, I wanted to create a platform for people to grow and prosper. So then the next opportunity that they have, that it can be even better than the, where they were before. So that was the toughest thing, is just like building and putting so much blood, sweat, and tears. And, I designed the space. I did every single aspect of it. And it was just kind of feeling like it was for, at the end, I definitely felt like it didn't feel the way that I thought it would, because I got very attached to them, right? Because they were like my babies. And especially like naming the restaurant after your wife too has that sentimental,
for sure,
attachment. So that was a tough part in it, for sure. But I'm always excited for the next thing, and the next thing for everybody else. And I'm always the biggest supporter of people. I want people to do well. Like, I don't look at, I'd never want to see anybody fail or be in harm or be upset or be sad. I only want people to do the best they possibly can and like reach their full potential. So I'm the biggest advocate of that. I've always promoted people and built them up. And, if somebody has a great idea, and say we like post on Instagram about it, like they're tagged in it, people know that they came up with that idea. I just want people to grow, and I'm not going to, create a roof over people's heads. So yeah, my analogy for it would be like a hamster wheel that just kept going, and you couldn't stop running, and you couldn't catch your breath. And, for one person, it was a lot. So when we did end up, shutting them down, I guess I got my health back, my mental health, my physical health a little bit. But then it kind of,
for a short period
of time, because as soon as I mentioned that they were closing, another opportunity presented itself very quickly. So
yeah, well, it's funny because at the end of Rare, you say I don't want to miss these moments. As a chef, you miss a lot of moments. You miss like holidays, you miss moments with your family, moments with your friends. Um, have you been able to, to to capture some of those moments or
I've been able to capture
recapture?
a few,
Yeah.
here and there, but um, I don't know. Life always kind of finds, for me, there's always a plan for something. Someone's working behind the scenes, figuring something out for me, so when one door closes, another couple definitely open
Hmm.
always. So I'm very grateful for that. But it isn't the best for for being able to rest
Yeah.
and get your shut eye and get your mind healthy.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, what has been what's been the most kind of rewarding part of, obviously we're talking about that next chapter. Now that you've kind of are achieving some of these things that I remember when I first met you 8, 9 years ago, you're like, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. Like, how maybe has your definition of greatness changed, evolved? Like,
Yeah. That's an interesting question because my definition of success and greatness has changed very dramatically throughout my career. And I, just cutting to the chase, I am definitely at a point in my life where success to me is being able to wake up happy every single day. I think that there's so much going on in so many different variables of life, and life is a roller coaster. So many lessons to be learned. There's a reason that we're on this earth. But I think the most important thing is to be happy, truly happy, and
mhm,
and to spread love. So, for me before, success was, achieving awards or being number one on the list,
mhm,
as a young individual would think. But I think as you get older too, and the more you talk to more mature individuals, the more you realize that that's kind of what it is.
mhm,
You don't sweat the small stuff. You just keep rolling with the punches and you just keep living in the moment, not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future,
mhm,
and just trying to be as happy as you possibly can every single day.
mhm.
And I think there's a lot of beauty in that too, that people sometimes get distracted from in this crazy world.
Not only in this crazy world, but in this crazy industry
Yeah.
as well, because as you just said, it's all about push, push, push. If you don't take a moment to check in with yourself or why are we pushing
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
type of a thing. And um, yeah, I mean, it's you have a tremendous. This is why obviously we've been friends for a while. Like you not only are super talented, but you also have an awareness level that some people, for better or for worse, don't reach in their life, and that's okay because that's their journey. But some people are just push, push, push. I need to get to here, but don't actually kind of like find that happiness
Hmm.
necessarily, or find that peace, or that ability to, we just did this other short called Liernes on Alfredo Villanueva. And he's like, waking up on a day off from the restaurant with my wife, Denise, and having a coffee is like, he's like,
Magic.
it's kind of magic.
Yeah.
It's kind of the best thing.
Yeah. And I think it's a mix. I think you shouldn't be doing something that you don't love to do every single day, because then what's the point? Because then, life is so short. You should be spending the most time doing things that you love. And if you can't, because obviously it is a world where you do need to make money and you need
Yeah.
to work, you should be doing something you absolutely love that doesn't feel like work as much
Hmm.
as, doing something that is exactly just work.
Hmm.
But it's those small moments that you essentially work hard for freedom. That's my opinion with it. Like, I want to set myself up so later on I can wake up and do whatever I want. I don't have anything on my schedule. I
Hmm.
can spend time with my family, take my dog for a walk with my wife, and our
Hmm.
kids eventually. And, just,
Yeah, you gotta get going on that.
yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan, getting healthy now.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
haven't been the most healthy the past, like 5 years.
yeah,
I've opened a few restaurants, and opening restaurants is not the best thing for your health. It's not like drinking sea moss from Erewhon.
yeah, exactly.
or what
No, I
have
mean,
you.
but it has been beautiful to see Monette and you continue to grow as a couple through all these challenging. I mean, listen,
I got to give her a shout out for
I mean,
sticking with me.
why have you waited this whole
Yeah,
time?
sorry,
You should have
sorry, Monette.
started.
This one goes out to you. Yeah, no, it takes a very strong, supportive, loving person to be the partner of a chef. It is a very challenging and tough career, and a lot of people don't understand it. People don't understand why you're going to the kitchen and working 18 hours a day, and why are you, constantly putting yourself under strain and stress. And it's just something that you can't really describe as like a chef. You're just like, it's just what I'm supposed to do, or and it's always the give and take. Necessarily, I don't think chefs necessarily want to do it all the time, but it's just that striving for greatness and being able to create. Like, how many different careers do people have the fortune, like, are fortunate enough to be able to create and come up with things and be excited about it. So that's what I love about our industry. There's the ability to be able to be truly passionate about something and sometimes forget that you're at work. There's definitely moments where you're like, oh, I'm working right now, but for the most part, it's spreading love and having a good time and pushing yourself to the absolute limit with in some restaurants sometimes it's a little bit more chill, but you kind of love that. You strive just to be the striving for perfection is beautiful in itself too.
Who are the contemporaries, who are the friends, who are the chefs in our region that you admire, that you look up to, that you like to support, that you like to take Monette to, when you have a moment of free time?
I think LA is such an incredible place, and it holds such a special place in my heart too, because I've traveled and I've lived different places, and LA is a place that was so welcoming. And I think everybody, there's so many amazing, beautiful people here who are so kind and generous and don't actually want or are looking to like get something out of you. They're just on their own path, and you link up with them and you maybe share the same goals or the same ambitions, or you both have the same kind of motivation to being great, but they're just great human beings in a place that people kind of come to achieve greatness. That's what LA has always been. A place that people go to achieve their dreams. They come here, and I think there's so many beautiful people in this place, and it's been so welcoming from me. I've lived here for 4 or 5 years now, and I can't get enough of it. When I fly away and I go somewhere else, I like get sad when I'm leaving LA. But I love it. I mean, there's so many amazing chefs doing amazing things here. Definitely one of the spots that I love to, and I was just saying this to Evan actually at the 50 Best, but because they recently had a fire at Funke, but I love to go to Funke with my wife. It's like, we get pasta, we get focaccia, I get a nice like Negroni, stuff like that. And just like he makes it feel like such a special place to come, where you feel like you're going to a friend's house, especially when he's there, but even if he's not, he like gets the kitchen to send me out stuff. And he's such a great guy, and he's always been so supportive. And he listens, and he like, when I talk to him, we always catch up and we look each other in the eye. And we actually like, understand each other, and he actually is listening when you're talking, So, and I watch this chef's table, and I've told him this many times. He's probably sick of me telling him, but it resonates so well. It's just like that perseverance and not giving up. And that's a lot of the stuff that people don't hear about chefs. It's always constant perseverance and never giving up. So I respect that guy. Also, congrats on everything. Like, he's blown up. It's sick. It's amazing to see. I mean, obviously, Aitor and Jordan Kahn, Vespertine and Somni, I think 2 of the most inventive restaurants in the scene right now. Not only in North America, but people are talking about them
in the
they're
world.
crushing. Such cool, beautiful, amazing food. I like to look at it because I always want to create, and every single dish that I make, I want to make a better dish than I did the one before. And just to see like where their brain's going with stuff is cool, because I think they're on a different direction, and just to see where they drew their inspiration from and where how they're pushing, it's really impressive. John from Cato, the restaurant like looks so cool. We just connected actually recently, but I've always watched from afar and it looks just amazing. And obviously I love Chef Nan too, from Kin Can, one of the nicest humans on the planet. So sweet. And she actually, that's kind of, I think how I got, you know, the ball rolling in LA. Went and ate at a restaurant and she was just so welcoming. And then I think we've done like 5 collaboration dinners since. And they're so much fun. She's such a hoot.
Yeah, she's.
I recommend going there. Yeah, I recommend anybody going there anytime. She will.
You won't have a bad time.
You won't have an empty glass. Of, sake
exactly.
At any point. Who else? I actually love going to Matu. Which one's the steakhouse?
Yeah, we had Matu. We had Scott Linder on.
Yeah.
Love
going. Yeah, I love
and the
Scott.
team are great.
I love Scott. He's we always chop it up whenever we're going to Matu, but I love to go there, just have like a martini and a nice steak and some fries and Monette and I. That's one of our stomping grounds for sure.
That's the date spot.
That's the spot because I'm like an Alberta boy, so I grew up eating, you know, steak and potatoes. Yeah, so that's like my steak and potato guy. So that's like my comfort food. So I love to get that.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't get out that often. I mean, generally working or always, you know, as a creative, you constantly have to be engaged and be doing something, and that's stimulating. If I'm not, I feel like I'm complacent. Like I have to be making a dish pretty much. And that's what I loved about, you know, working with Dominique and Atelier Cren and the Dior stuff and Bar Cren at the same time. I pretty much had to come up with like 1 or 2 dishes a day, every single day. That, you know, at some points I had to come up with like 5 dishes in a day, depending on like what was going on. But I love it. I love the stimulation. I love creating. I love pushing yourself to the absolute limit, you know. Pressure, like, is, you know, with diamonds, pressure and diamonds and
pressure creates diamonds.
No, but like sometimes you like, it's like, you know, you can sit there in a room and you can have like writer's block coming up with a dish, but if essentially you're like, you have to come up with 5 dishes right now, you'll make it happen.
Because I think people are fascinated by the creative act and the creative process. You have been kind of widely known as not only obviously doing things that are like really delicious, but also just geometrically and just like kind of the way you think. And I know your mom was an artist. Like, but what is the creative process for you as you develop, you know, like a dish, or like where are you pulling inspiration from most?
My inspiration these days is all over the place. It could be some texture I see, or I mean, the older I get, the more simple I make food. So, and I love that. I love very simple food. Like if I'm going to eat myself, I want like meat and sauce, you know, like a small plate of vegetables, like perfectly balanced with like, you know, a few things on it. I don't like to overcomplicate things, but visually I like to make things. I'm kind of in a direction where I want to make food go in a direction visually that nobody's seen before. I don't like to replicate things. And if I do, I don't usually try to look at other people's food because I want to pull inspiration from myself. And a lot of the times I'll like come up with a dish, you know, do it, and I'll see later that somebody already did it. And then it's, you know, it doesn't feel as nice for me personally, but I do know, like, you know, it's in a good thought process if somebody else kind of came up with it and I came up with it on my own. But I love to just push my brain. I love art. I love going to galleries. I love seeing things. I love, you know, different textures, shapes, obviously, geometry. I love just like the simplicity of geometric shapes. And I think it's really cool to simplify food and at the same time visually just grab your eye and pull it in so many different directions.
After a crazy wild past almost 12 months since we released this docu-short, and obviously then months later you closed down the restaurants, you know, it's been a whirlwind. It's been crazy. It's been ups and downs, and on personal level, social, political, you know, all the things. But what does cooking mean to you today?
There was a moment with all the craziness of, you know, owning businesses and dealing with a lot of that weight on my shoulders, that I kind of lost my love for food and for cooking. And that's why I wanted to go into a direction of constantly creating every single day to bring that spark back. And I'm, very grateful for the opportunity that was presented by Dominique to do that. And it's crazy how life can be a whirlwind and a roller coaster. And 1 second you think you're going one way, and the next everything can be flipped upside down in a positive way or in a negative way. And that's just kind of the beauty of it. It's never the same, and it's always on a path. And sometimes you can get too involved in it because you're in it at that time. But then when you look back in hindsight, you understand why it happened to you and what lessons that you learned. So long story long, I definitely got my passion back, which I'm very grateful for. And I'm excited to see, how I'm going to evolve and what's going to happen next year.